You get up this morning, look out in your yard and see your plants had popped right up after the rain yesterday. Well, well, I've got my weeds did, but also my plants did. And you guys don't know Lee Simpson. She is a person who was a master gardener and has taught me an incredible amount of things. I taught her this and she called me up 5 minutes after researching it and said, "Oh my gosh, Ginny, I can't believe you taught me this." Nitrogen pop. When there is a lightning storm, our 78% of nitrogen in our air gets broken up by the lightning and it comes down into the soil as supercharged fertilizer. And when you get up the next day after a lightning storm, your green things look like they have grown 6 inches. And when you see that and you say, wow, think if there was a lightning storm the night before, and chances are there were. And I learned this from somebody at Niche Gardens years ago, and I thought they were pulling my leg. And they, oh, this gullible woman, she'll believe anything, and which is true. But I went home and researched it, found the same thing. And then when Lee told me, absolutely, we got it. So there was a great lightning pop yesterday. Couple things, soil samples, they will be free as of April 1st. Don't forget to pick up your soil sample boxes. We have them here. You can take them to the extension center, put them in the box, and they will get the results to you. Our next Dig Deeper is Frances Harris, and it is here on Monday, April 21st, 10 to 11:30, native trees and shrubs. Seed library. Oh, free seed. Yeah, I'm not there yet, but free seed library is here as well. Free seeds. But Frances's lecture will be at Seymour here on April 21st, Monday, and at Hillsborough Library on Sunday, April 27th from 2 to 3:30. We have today the wonderful Faye McNaughton. Faye is, I'm not going to trip over it. You come out. Faye, I've been doing Dig Deeper for many years. And come over this way. And sometimes, I say, Faye, I need something. What can we do? And Faye has an arsenal of lectures that is quite incredible. So we were driving one day and she said, I've got one. It's edible flowers. And look what she does. And you will see some very special things here, which I won't tell you what they are. But I've heard through the grapevine that this is Faye's swan song for lectures. I don't believe it, but know that you are probably being treated to one of the best lectures that we have, a 15-year master gardener, both at here and Durham, and they don't get any better. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Thank you. Well,
the other part of the team. I want to introduce Mark. We are really.
Hey, we can't hear you.
We're delighted to have Mark Bumgarner come. He is our agriculture and consumer affairs. Well, you'll have to tell us the right name, but a bunch of stuff for leadership in the extension division. And he is the leader of the Master Gardener program. So we're just so glad to have you able to come, Mark. He's come over and spent special just to hear this. I was hoping we'd have a room full, maybe for some of our Hillsborough folks that didn't get a talk yesterday, but we'll go right ahead and see what happens. So this morning, I wanted we're going to work with your phones a bit. And if you'll just take out your phone, first of all, and put it on silence, and then keep it handy because I'm going to ask you to use it for some other things. Now, I want to start today saying I never say this about myself, but I think I may be a good person to do this kind of talk because I have a medical background. I've taken care of adults for many years, veterans for many years of those times, and I've worked with people who have medical issues such as allergies, dermatitises, issues that come from allergies. So we want to be very careful when we talk about eating flowers that we're not putting you at risk. So we're going to start with the cautions. Now, Michelle Wallace, who was my agent in Durham, said to me, why did you start with all the negative stuff? And I said, because I have seen what it can do, and I want to be sure people are very cautious about this. So I'll start with a story from the Southern Cooking School. Remember Southern Seasons Cooking School before they tore the old Belks down? It was a great place to volunteer because you could volunteer and get points, and then you could bring your family in for free dinners. So I had occasion to hear a Pakistani chef who did a multi-fruit cobbler for his demo that day. And in his recipe, he had some Granny Smith apples for the sour. Then you can balance that with a certain kinds of different berries, whatever kind of berries you want to use to make up the balance of the fruit. And then you put all that in your flour and your sugar, and your spices were a little bit of nutmeg. You don't do too much nutmeg, but his crowning glory was a tiny pinch of cayenne. And when you eat his pie, you have that wonderful pastry, buttery pastry, the wonderful berry juice and the tart from the apples. And as you finish, you're left with a little tingle in your mouth, which reminds you of all those good flavors you've just experienced. It's a wonderful thing to do, but I had some friends I was going to make that pie for. And I just happened to ask them, is anybody allergic to anything? And one said, cayenne. So I said, sorry, Meg, you're going to be eating ice cream. But this is a wonderful recipe if you ever want to try it. But always the lesson here, and you'll hear it again from me, is be careful who you're feeding flowers to and know what their medical issues are. So let's just go forward. We're going to have some help from time to time from the other committee members in the room. We'll go forward now, and I want you to look at this list carefully and see if there's anything about this list that bothers you. I gave this talk in about 2017 or something like that. I don't know when I did it for Durham, but anyway, I didn't pick this up until I was doing this one again. So the more you look at something, the more you see, right? Well, you've got some clues here. Buttercups, jonquils, and daffodils are the three things on here. When you look at that first, we Southerners get all confused because I used to call everything buttercups. Everything was a buttercup. I didn't know the difference. But today I want to show you the difference. Buttercups are the little waxy flowers that are weeds in the garden. I love them. I hate to mow them off when I'm mowing my pasture grass, but they're little waxy flowers that you see in this picture here. And that is commonly called a bulbous buttercup, and it's poisonous. Also, here we have daffodils. Daffodils are characterized by one flower per stem and a sword-like flower leaves, which are more pointed, more sword-like. And in the jonquil, they're a little bit more rounded and a little bit narrower. And the jonquils have multiple flowers per stem. And Anne, I believe, I was told, brought the jonquils on the other end there. You'll see multiple flowers on that single stem. That's a jonquil, and these are daffodils. And I'm using these poisonous flowers today, one of which will be your demo flower. So as you touch it, we're going to pass out some hand wipes and so forth so you won't have any pollen and stuff on your hands if you happen to be allergic. So we're going to do a demo in just a few minutes. So also poisonous on that list was Asclepsia, which is what butterflies live on from the time they're little tiny eggs all the way up till they fly. We plant these in our garden, and Chapel Hill does a really good job of that at some of the medical center ambulatory clinics, I've noticed. And also your other one that has beautiful flowers, but you don't bother with, is Lantana. Good nectar sources for butterflies, but not for people. And again, those of you who are North Carolina natives or even who've driven to the coast, especially down 70, I remember this particularly. Carolina jasmine, this one here, is gorgeous. It's on the roadside unless they've sprayed the roadsides lately. But that one is poisonous. Do not ever put that in your food or anywhere around your food. Honeysuckle berries are, and common hyacinth. Now, I would just suggest don't mess with hyacinths. You've got plenty of flowers to choose from without messing with hyacinths, especially if you don't know one bulb from the other, which I don't. And over here, they're saying the wild one is safe, but the common one is not. Just don't take that risk. And this is what I call Confederate jasmine. They call it Jasmine officinale. Again, that one supposedly is edible. It's got a tubular area where the pistil and the antlers are located. Just a special note or two here. Just because they're fruit flowers doesn't mean you can gulp them down and eat lots of them. Watch out for your apple blooms. They have this pre-cyanide cursor. And the same thing, I think we get a little notice later that chamomile might have something to watch for. Elderberries, you can't eat any part of that except you can take the berries and make jelly. Everything else has alkaloids and glycosides in it that will turn to cyanide. So you have to know pretty much what you're doing to get into this. Now, I'm asking the ladies who are on the committee to hand out a half sheet to you now. If you'll take your phone back up, I want you to use the, we're going to pass out a copy of the main article that we've chosen today. Cynthia Culbertson, I believe her name is, has taken these 2 books. Brown and
This has the QR code
Kathy Brown,
that.
Kathy Brown and Barash. These are her 2 books that she drew her article from, believe it or not. So hers is a really good article, but I have a concern about her article. She has 30 different flowers she has listed. When you go on and you take your little half page, you know how to do a QR code? Everybody know how to do QRs? Okay, take your phone and see if you can do a QR on this and get up.
Hey, you have to talk into the mic. We can't hear you.
It's hard to do. Okay, if you'll look at this, here's your QR code that Mark fixed up for us. Really nice and crisp. If you'll take your phone and open the article, then you'll see the North Carolina State University article. That is the primary article for the day. It's got most of the stuff in it. It has a great long list of flowers. Now, while we're talking about poisonous versus non-poisonous, let's look at this list of flowers. I think I counted 30. Some of these on here make me a little nervous, but you'll see that I'm going to be very conservative of the ones that I recommend to you because I'm really worried about people with allergies. We have medications that people are taking now. We have people that don't know if they have allergies or not. So we have to be very careful. But if you look at these, one of the first ones that we're going to go over some of the ones that are on here. But always be sure to read everything there is to know about the flower you're looking at. And then you might go to this second entry on your sheet, and that is check it against your poisonous plants list and make sure that it's not a poisonous plant. I'm sure this has been well checked before it was written, but just to be a good scholar for what you're doing, it's a good idea to double check. Now, if you go over to page 5, you'll see up the top bee balm. That's what you have in your morning breakfast tea. That's the bergamot that comes from the bee balm, and you'll smell it as you work with bee balm. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but it's the bergamot that you taste in your morning breakfast tea. So it tells you on here that it attracts hummingbirds and butterflies and spreads rapidly. It doesn't tell you any particular precautions about eating it. And you'll see also then if you turn the page to 7, go over to 7, look at the garlic blooms. They're very much like the onion blooms, and you'll see some of those prepared in one of the slides in a few minutes. Chives are a great choice. I'll be talking about those. So I've chosen about 7 of these that I think are your least apt to cause you issues. And always be sure that people you're serving this to are not allergic. Here, so I get to what I want to do next. We've done our phones. We're going to talk a little bit about the next slides coming up. Some of the precautions that you need to take. Not all flowers that might be served to you in a restaurant or somewhere are edible. And you need to just keep some basic principles in mind. Some are poisonous and some just taste bad. And we don't know what they have been exposed to. The pesticides for vegetables have been tested, and you know how many weeks you have to wait until you could eat something after having sprayed them. But that's not true for flowers. And we also know that the flowers vary according to the soil and the growing conditions for which you've set them up. So let's talk a little bit about growing requirements. Obviously, since we have the soil test boxes here today, you get a soil test of the soil if you're going to use it. Now that might be raised beds or on the ground gardening. If you're going to do a container, I would suggest you clean that container out. Maybe put that soil over in the ground on your ground garden or in a raised bed and start over. Always you clean your containers with a 1 to 10 solution of Clorox, chlorine, disinfectant if you would, and water, and be sure they're well rinsed and dried out before you put anything in them. Now, if you've got a big pot, I found out last year, I was just experimenting, I turned a whole bunch of those little black pots that things had come out of upside down and took up the whole bottom third of my big pot. So I didn't have to use as much potting soil, but I start with new potting soil. Now I'm saying that because you have to keep the plants you're going to take your flowers from away from any exposure to pesticides, herbicides, exhaust, street exhaust, whatever. So you want to get them in a protected area. You need a pH of 5.5 to 6. Most vegetables are about 6.6 to 6.8. So these are a little bit more acid than you would expect. Then you might want to do a soil test to see what it really is. You can put amendments on it, and you can get good quality mulch that's already been what we call cooked or heated so that the weed seeds have been killed. And we had an exhibitor at the Ag Conference from Community Home and Garden in Pittsburgh that gets theirs from the Brook, I believe it is, in Goldston, that does that. So I always try to amend my gardens with good quality mulch that I know has come from a cooked company. You want good water drainage, hole in the bottom of your pot. You can always put a black pot inside of a pretty pot if you want to, but always make sure you've got good drainage, good air movement, and protect it from pests and pets who might be watering it for you. Other growing requirements, you want to provide consistent moisture when you're first starting it. And we'll talk a little bit about the needs of the plant you're going to use in a minute. You want to avoid overhead irrigation. You want to use soaker hoses if you can. Now, my soaker hoses are throwing water up all over everywhere now, so they're not really like what we hope they are going to do, put water right at the base of the plant. You want to avoid chemicals and use your IPM, your intermittent pest management, where you are looking at your plants. If you see little eggs underneath a leaf, you can get rid of them. Or if you see a hornworm on your tomatoes, we're not talking about tomatoes, but you won't see hornworms on most of these things we're talking about. But the point is, if you see a pest, get rid of it by taking it off with your hands, and you can find ways of getting rid of them without having to spray them. So you want to keep your pesticide and herbicides locked away when you're working with your edible flowers. And you certainly don't want to have to try to make them look pretty by dusting them. If you have a plant that's not looking good, it's not happy, and it's soil and it's not doing well, then there's something else going on. It's not necessarily spray, it's going to solve it. So we're going to leave right there just a minute, and I'm going to talk a little bit. We talked about raised beds and IPM, and we're going to talk for a few minutes about the principles of container gardening, because container gardening is what I'm suggesting you do if you don't have a good place, or a raised bed is a good place to do it too. Now, chives, I love chives, and that's on your list as an edible flower. That's the onion family. You've got several different kinds of onions that are going to come up on that list. Allium family. Chives are beautiful 3 seasons of the year. You see these beautiful light pink brooms here. They are beautiful now. These would need to be deadheaded to make more blooms, but as you progress through the season, these blooms will go away, and as you get to fall, the flower comes up like this with little tiny stems, tiny little beige stems on a beige stem coming up out of the plant that's beautiful against the snow, and it has a dark black seed at the end of every one of those little prongs. Really beautiful. So I would suggest you put those somewhere in your raised bed or somewhere. But again, it's going to take up some space because they're going to self-multiply. Here, this plant I wanted to point out to you has several things that you keep in mind. One, it's got 2 chive plants, 2 violas, the little blue ones you see here, a marjoram, and an oregano. What family is that? Primarily Mediterranean, right? So they want a good draining, quickly draining type of soil, and they don't want to hold water. So my concern about this is there's an awful lot of chives in that small looking pot. In this part of the country, and I'm an Orange County native, we know that we can't cram too many things in a pot. You've got to have enough soil to support the root system as that grows through the season. So I'm going to point that out in another one. This one, I think is a good combination. But I found that your violas, this right here, didn't get a good drink the other day, and they decided they were going to flop over. But as soon as they had a drink, they came back up. So I'm thinking in this particular arrangement, these violas are going to need a little bit more water than the rest of the things in this pot. But you can use the flowers of the herbs primarily. This is another pot from one of the books that I used. And again, look at the number of plants. This is not a huge hanging basket. It would have to be this big, maybe, to take on all these plants. 3 mint plants, they take a lot of space. A lavender takes up space as it grows. 3 thyme plants, 4 plants of violas, 2 parsleys, and 4 pinks. And of course, your pinks, your mints, and your lavender are perennials, so you can use them again. As your season goes on, you can keep those and use them, leave them outside even. You will have to deadhead. And we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about why you want to deadhead. And I'm sure most of y'all know it, since most of your master gardeners are gardeners. This is a full sun. So far, all of these are full sun. And you want to keep your moist compost soil mixture moist until they take off. And it would be a beautiful plant, but I think it's really crowded for this particular environment of ours. It's humid. Remember, you need air movement. And I can't see a lot of air movement when we get into August, when everything stills and it gets hot and humid. I think we would have problems with having this many plants in a pot. And here's another one that just goes crazy. Look at how many are in this pot, but they're also showing you which are edible plants. You've got mints and lemon balms, feverfew, and I don't remember which of these is feverfew. I think this is cowslips up here at the top. You've got your lavender up at the top, and you've got 5 parsley plants in there, and a rosemary, and a pink daisy. That is just a lot of plants. But the point is, they're showing you these are all full season, full sun, well-drained types of flowers that work well together. And again, you'll have to deadhead to keep them from going to seed. So that's just some examples of how you could do containers. You can put containers out, but never put them directly onto a wood deck. They will rot your wood. You'll have something to have to correct. Always have them up off the ground where the water can drain away, or a saucer under them to catch it. Now, let's do some fun stuff. We're going to look at a section of a daffodil. Remember, this is a poisonous plant. I'm going to show you how to fix some flowers to eat, but I'm going to use a poisonous plant because it's big enough to show you what I want to show you. Main thing I want you to look at today is, we've said we want rid of the things that would make you have an allergy, and those are the stamen. The stamen is words over here, but antler and filament are here. There are 3 on either side of the pistil on a daffodil that I'm going to show you, and the pistil's in the middle. That's the female part. Now, if you let this flower go and don't deadhead it, it is getting the message, oh, I'm fertilized. I don't need to make any more flowers. I can propagate myself. I can make another plant. Its whole reason for being is to make another plant. So once it gets that message, it's not going to bloom as much. If you want blooms, you have to deadhead. So we're going to take this apart. This is your sepal and the pedicle. Now, I'm just going to move away from the phone a minute, and then I'm going to send something around for you to look at. I'm going to try to talk a little bit louder. I'm going to take one of these King Alfreds, cut off the stem. Here, this is what was protecting it. And here is your base. This will be where you would make these seeds. Once that pistil inside, this is what will get bigger and rounder. And if you don't pull them off now, the energy of this bulb is going into seeds and not back into the bulb. So you want to get rid of that, even on this kind of flowers. So I'm just going to do this all the way down through here. Open this baby up like this. And I'm going to put it on this board. And when I pass this around, when one of our helpers will come, we've got one of the sepals is lying down. I mean, one of the stamens lying down, but you've got 3 on either side of this pistil, which is in the middle. And also, if you take your little magnifier sits on this, that girls have, ladies have, you can probably see some pollen dusted down in here. And that's what, when you eat this, you want to take away all this middle part, all these reproductive parts, get rid of them. But also, we're going to have a slide that says, if you've got white at the base of your petals that you're planning to eat, or this has got green, cut it off. It's going to be bitter. So as you look at this, you can see several of the principles that we're talking about going. and I'll put it right here. Now I'm gonna do a large, I don't know if this will work, because I haven't tried it, but this is a large viola, because we're gonna tell you that a viola you can eat in its entirety. It's okay to eat all this little back part. Well, I wouldn't do that because I'm an asthmatic, so I wouldn't do that. I don't want to take a chance of having a problem. So I'm gonna see if I can take this one apart. And I'm just gonna lay it on here. You'll see how tiny the little parts are in the viola. And this is one that's bigger than those, right? It's bigger than these. It's twice as big. So just an example. So I'm just going to put these on your sheet here. And I think Ann and Lara and some others have some little magnifiers. Martin has loaned us some magnifiers to use today. This will be ready to pass around for inspection. And we've got hand wipes. Yeah, go ahead, whatever. Take a hand wipe after you've done it in case pollen is a problem for you, because you're going to get something to eat in a few minutes and I want you to have pollen on your food. Okay.
Microphone.
All right. Okay. All right. So we got that ready. So if you're preparing them, I'm going to go through preparation in just a minute, but basically you want all of the reproductive parts out of your flour, no matter which flour you're working with. And each one's going to be a little bit different. This is an oversimplification. Now let's look at preparation, because I've prepared some. As we just said, you want to remove the sepals, remove the stamen. These are the things that are a problem. The pollen are in the stamen. So you don't want the pollen. That's what makes people really sick. Remove the pistil and remove the green. I have tasted these. The little petals on a viola are tasteless. But if you eat the whole thing, it supposedly has a different flavor. You want to gently wash the petals. So I put these in that I've prepared in a little flat out thing with water in it and sprayed them with cold water. And then I put cold water on top of them and sprayed the top of them. I swished them around a little bit, and then I took an egg turner and just lifted them out and put them on a paper towel, because they say if you're preparing them ahead of time, you want to keep them cool. Now I've done that, and I'll send some of these around as well. But these are prepped. You put these on that same container if you want. These are prepped. And those were done yesterday morning. No, those were done late Friday afternoon. And I'll tell you the principles on that in a few minutes. And then you refrigerate them until you're ready to use them. They've been refrigerated for 2 nights now, so they still could be used. Okay, so you want to pick them in the cool of the day after the dew evaporates. Well, at my house, the dew doesn't evaporate till the sun gets on it good. So it's on up at 10 o'clock in the morning in the summertime. You want to choose the flowers at their peak. So again, I think cool of the day for me would be late afternoon, and prepare them. You select them at their peak. You don't want any of them that are looking puny. You'll look in this pot right here. You can almost tell the ones that have just bloomed versus the ones that are going back the other way, that are getting wilted. Keep them cool for maximum freshness and flavor, and you harvest them 3 or 4 hours before you're going to use them. And if you can't, you put them in the refrigerator and use them when you're ready. Now, again, let's look at the no prep flowers. You can use some flowers without taking them apart, like the herb flowers. They're so tiny, it would be very hard to take them apart anyway, but you wash them good anyhow. Lavender, you'll see when we do our cookies in a minute that there's no way to open up a lavender bud. Nasturtiums, arugula, and violas. And they're the ones I want to concentrate on today, because I don't think you'd have any problem with them. In fact, I think you won't have a problem. I made you something to eat out of lavender. So just to review, you'll see some of these a couple of times. Arugula, we have some of those as our gift today to our raffle. Thank you. And the ones that I brought were in my yard. A weed is a plant in the wrong place. They were in my yard and I didn't want them there. So I said, I'm going to see if I can make these into transplants, because I didn't think that arugula transplanted very well. And it looks like they probably have. This one's about to bloom. Now, okay, so the arugula, you'll see one of the plants that we're giving away is about to bloom. These you need to put in a place in your garden where they can stay. They make a big mound of wonderful peppery leaves to put in your salads. I love them in a little pop in a salad, but they want to be in one place and they want to self-seed. So it's sort of like planting asparagus. You find a place you want them and you put it there and just don't think you're going to move them. So these did transplant. And I think if whoever gets these, if you'll take them and put them either wherever you're going to put them, but put them in a place that you can take them right out of this pot and put them right in, I think they'll go. And now the other really good plant that makes a beautiful flower is your borage. Borage is very not pretty. Neither one of these go in a container because they're 2 feet tall, and they flop because their height. And arugula wants a whole bunch of space. Borage is a beautiful container for squash. I always plant some borage seed when I I always direct seed squash in the garden. So I put this in as a companion plant. It's fuzzy. The leaves flop. It's just not pretty. It's a shovel-shaped leaf, and they're fuzzy. And so these flowers are also fuzzy. And there's going to be another picture that really shows up the fuzz. But the really good part is the lavender here, the beautiful lavender star that comes out of this. And I think you could probably pluck this dark part out and you would have the reproductive part out of that one. And I'd probably do that if I wanted to use it. So have you been eating flowers already? Well, sure you have. You've been eating broccoli, right? And when I go to the market to get broccoli, don't give me any yellow broccoli. Don't want any yellow looking broccoli at all. I want nice, tight, blue-green flowers and a crisp head. And if you ever watch Julia Childs, you'll know that she peels those stems. And if you peel the stems, it cooks at the same rate your flowers cook, and everything comes out good. You don't have some hard stem and some flowers that are overcooked. But that's a wonderful technique. So we all eat flowers and probably don't think about it. But the ones I wanted to mention, and we probably don't eat many of these. Robin, you brought these, didn't you? The brassicas. Cabbage or mustard, you want to tell us what they are?
Those are tender greens. Look up the Latin name.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
But yes, and those are blooming now in my garden. They are bolting, actually.
Yeah.
And we have been eating off those as we have with our arugula all winter long. And the flowers are delicious and beautiful.
Good, good. And you ate flowers as well?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. You didn't do anything to them to take them apart. Just threw them in the pot. Okay, cool. Well, that's good.
They're beautiful.
Oh, good. Okay, there you go, y'all. I didn't know anybody was going to have this, but I like these because when they bolt, they provide the yellow flowers. I saw one bumblebee last week. They overwinter here and they come out and they need some nectar. They're going to get dandelions because the dandelions are out, but they don't have much else to use. So if you'll let some of these bolt, if you're putting them in your garden, it really helps them out a lot. And that was one of the main reasons I wanted to mention this as well. But thank you, Robin. That helps us to see what we can do with that. Now, let's talk about lavender a little bit. Now, you ladies may want to gear up because we're going to pass out some samples of what it might be like to eat lavender. This is a bushy perennial. It's very well known across the world. We love our lavender. It's supposed to be soothing in the bath, soothing for people who are a little, can't quite get to sleep, that kind of stuff. It's aromatic. And the one that winters over in the Piedmont has been developed to, what's the name of that thing? Whoever goes to the lavender farm probably will know. Can't think of the name of it at the moment, but it can take the humidity. Most places where this grows, it can be a little bit arid and dry out, but here you want it to dry out. So you want to space those plants so that there's plenty of air movement. You want a mixture that will be a quick run through of water. Now, if you have a lavender plant in a big pot and it's sitting out in the rain and you're going to have 5 inches of rain, I recommend if you have rollers on that plant that you take some of it, put it a little bit more protected. It does not want a whole bunch of rain at once. Just keep it kind of Mediterranean-like and let it dry out between waterings. And we can use the flowers. You'll see you can use the flowers for lots of things. Give people lavender to eat. I don't get it out of the garden. It's not because I use pesticides or anything. I just prefer to use culinary grade. This is culinary grade. It's at least a year old. You'll taste it in the cookies you're going to try in a few minutes. And also, this is lavender oil. And one of the precautions is don't use very much lavender oil. It takes a lot of flowers to make an ounce of oil. This is expensive. It's like $6 for a little bottle. But if you don't use but 2 drops at a time, this could last for years. So it's very, very dear and not something that you would use in excess. But this is the culinary grade. And I have some samples if y'all want to pass some of those out starting now. If anybody wants to try them, you can do that. And you'll notice that as you eat those, the lavender tastes a little bit, what should I say? A little dry, it's a little bit crunchy. You may not expect that, but it's not going to be moist. It's going to be because it's been dried for culinary grade. But we've made butter cookies for you on a recipe. Supposedly this cover, the wash on it would be white, but I don't use much powdered sugar. I always cut the recipe on sugar. So that's why you've only got enough syrup to hold the lavender in place for your decoration. Mark.
Question about your oil. Is there a difference between cooking with it versus aromatic oils, or can they all be used for cooking?
I think it's different.
It is.
I wouldn't use aromatics for cooking. This one is like, let's see, intense flavor. I don't know if there really is, but I wouldn't waste my, this is more expensive than others. You can? You cannot.
No, because
Yeah.
they're highly concentrated. In fact, you can't use them straight on your skin because they can burn your skin. They're so intense.
Oh, okay. All right, so mine says you can burn your skin. It's so concentrated.
It's not a good.
Yeah.
And you don't want to use your essential oils in
No.
cooking.
No,
They're
no.
really highly.
You got to go to Williams and Sonoma or wherever I got this thing. It pays $6, $7 now probably to get it. And you might want to get the whole village to share it with. Okay, so lavender is one of our favorites. But remember, if you do go, here's a good experience for those of you who are master gardeners. If you get a chance to go to the lavender farm up on your Schley, I've been to 4 lavender farm experiences as a master gardener, and each one was different. Went to way down in Chatham County, over there with a beautiful garden. And they had music, and what they had us doing was the machine would come and cut off the blooms. And we batched the blooms, and then we put a string around them and hung them. And that's what they would sell for bridal use and for using in the household. And then the one at Schley, when a Frenchman came one day, I was there, and he said, "Is this all there is to it?" I mean, he's used to probably fields of lavender, and this is a small field of lavender at that one. But that's a great experience if you get a chance to sign up for that. And Lynn Calder's the one that sends out the notices on that. She'll need a certain number of hours, a certain number of days on the weekends. Early June usually is when that comes, as soon as it starts blooming. What you want to do is you want to plant that where you can have a quick run through. And I always take seashells that have been washed, get all the salt off of them, and put it around the white so that it will pull in the heat that will dry it out quickly. So let's think a little bit about any special notes about this. So look at this lavender here. You can see all the different uses for it, but never consume the oil unless you know the flower has not been sprayed. Well, of course, that's why I use culinary. Don't have to worry. Chamomile, you might think because you've got some beautiful little chamomile flowers, which are wonderful to keep down weeds in your garden. If you just throw some chamomile seeds out, they come in and fill in, and there's no room for weeds if you've got chamomile between your plants. But again, you have to take them in moderation because if you have any allergies, you would have trouble with that. Now, Robin, you want to tell us about your nasturtiums? We were trying to get ready for this and got some plants ready, and Robin just happened to pick nasturtiums, and I just happened to pick violas, so it worked out really well. You want to tell us about your nasturtiums?
Come up if I.
Yeah, sure.
Nasturtiums are both the leaves and the flowers of nasturtiums are edible. They're a fabulous plant to start indoors, and if you have them indoors, you can have them all winter long. I have not had good luck getting them to bloom indoors. If anybody has, please let me know. But the plants are fun. They get very leggy, so I cut off the ends of a few and stuck them in water. They will root, and I will have new plants. In addition, I started these from seeds. They're adorable, and let's raffle off these two little nasturtiums along with your arugulas.
Thanks for doing that, Robin. That fit perfectly with this slide. Yes, ma'am.
Curious about seeds and papers. I love papers. Is it the same kind of flavor?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't eaten the seeds.
I was going to say I wouldn't do that. I'll buy capers first because I have to fight with the seed. I have to put I take a knife and scrape them to get them to open up to germinate. So I have a fight to get them to germinate.
Would it be with fresh seeds?
I can't hear you.
Would it be with fresh seeds? Would they use fresh seeds as capers? Because the regular seeds, the dried seed, are really hard. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, these are really hard. That's why I wouldn't choose. I don't know. I mean, this is what the lady that does the flowers says. So I would have to research that. But a really good question. But I certainly would buy a bunch of capers and keep it in my refrigerator before I would do that. And I use a lot of capers. I'd have to be really bad off to even consider it. But it's good to know that it's not going to hurt you if you did that, I guess. Okay, and you can see it came from Cynthia's publication, MCSU publication, that you see on your phone. And of course, here are the violas that I chose to work with. These are little tiny plants. These are cool season plants. They have sweet green tasting, if you eat the whole thing, a little bit grassy, a little bit like you're going to eat green grass, literally. The petals themselves have no flavor. They say it has mild flavor, but I couldn't taste anything. And you use them for decorating cakes and so forth. You can use them, chop them up and put them in cream cheese for your charcuterie board if you want for something really different. Another thing you could do for your charcuterie board is you can make your own boursin. You know, boursin, that little tiny cheese is really expensive. We used to pay $8.95 years ago, and I stopped buying it when I learned to make it. You make it with cream cheese, a little bit of butter, chop up your chives or whatever you're putting in it, your black pepper, whatever flavor you want, and make it up yourself. And it's very cheap that way. But this would be another thing to try if you want something different. But again, if you're doing a big party, better be careful. You don't know who's going to eat it. So again, a few pictures of the chives down on the ground and how beautiful they can be and how they'll spread. And this is another picture of that bulrush from the bottom that shows you all this fuzziness that you have to contend with. But these, if you put them with your squash, you can take a bloom or two off. And these are really, these purpley flowers are beautiful with orange salads. You remember there's an orange salad in Southern Living or one of those magazines where you have blood orange and you have another color orange, you have another color. So you have 2 or 3 different colors of orange on a grass green salad. You could put some of those purpley flowers on it, it'd be gorgeous. Okay, so let's look at some of the food uses. I think we've done most of the demo that we wanted to do today. So let's go to this. Quick look, and let's make sure I didn't forget something. Okay. Let's take a minute. Before we go into food uses, let's go back to Cynthia's list of flowers for a minute. Y'all got them up on your phone still, or you want to get them back up? Let's go through this list for a minute because I think it's worthy of taking a few minutes to look at it. She's done quite an exhaustive list, probably taking it from a lot of other sources than these 2 books. This book right here has a whole compendium of different flowers and explanations that you can use. So I would use these 2 together if I was really going to get into these 2 together. So if you go down through here, you'll see here we've talked about apples a little bit. It tells us that eat in moderation. So everything's consistent. Here's your artichoke, Yolanda. Yolanda's growing artichokes. Use the flowers to make tea. Okay. And then you've got your arugula. We've talked about that because that's a good plant to have. Basil. A little bit early for thinking about that. We talked a little bit about your bee balm. I'm not sure what I would do with bee balm, but you could take those pretty pink flowers off, reddish flowers from this list. I'm not sure I'd mess with begonias. I don't like the way begonias smell because I don't think I would want to eat them, but here comes your borage. They were recommending that. Broccoli blooms. Calendulas are well thought of in plants because they're orangey and orangey yellow. And she's just got on and on. Here we go with your brassica blooms, your cauliflower, chamomile. We've mentioned those. Some of these chives and garlic chives and onion chives, and those prepped. There's a slide, I think, still to come showing those prepped. You've got daisies, you've got dandelions, which are blooming now. You could use those. Dill would be a good choice, I think, because dill does a good flavor to lots of things. Fennel, also, and they would be good for attracting swallowtail butterfly host plants. That's what they are. Geraniums. Now, geraniums, we'll talk in a minute about some uses for geraniums. Hibiscus, I don't know. That one and hollyhocks, I don't know if I go for those or not. We've got Johnny jump ups are the same thing as violas. This is a different kind than what I talked about. You've got your lavender. So we've hit on quite a few of these. Some of them I've been, and a lot of these are herbs, so you're okay there. Watch out for things like the mallow family. You've got okra blossoms. So those and the hibiscus probably be in the same family. You've got pansies. Pansies have big, but you can get small pansies now. You get middle-sized pansies, so they would hold up better in salad than the big leaf. I've got some big leaf ones that are floppy right now. They're not my favorites. I like these little fellas because they clean themselves up. They drop their seeds. You don't have to work with them. Passion flower, again, I'm not that familiar with that particular plant, but I wanted to tell you, Ons has some seeds back there for garden peas. Green peas. You can eat green peas and these white flowers of the green pea, but do not eat sweet peas, the ones that are colored and that you put for climbing up a trellis or something that I can't get to grow. Sweet peas, don't eat them. They're poisonous. Also, another good one is pineapple sage. That's a lovely plant. One of the things they were talking about on the radio yesterday, on Saturday, was pineapple sage is one of the things that they're using. And this is the sage family has lots and lots of plants in it. Always, if you have a square stem, if you're in a nursery and you feel a square stem, it's probably the sage family. And this is a really nice one. It blooms in the August and September, and it smells, the leaves literally, if you bruise them, smell like pineapple. They're wonderful plants. And I have wintered over some for 2 or 3 years now. Here you've got plums mentioned, so there's another fruit. Should look a lot like your, I think we just lost this. And you've got red buds, roses. Now I'm going to show you in a minute what you can do with roses. So you can use these, that we've talked a lot about salads. Now I did have Evelise Cologne, who is our consumer service agent, what used to be home demonstration agent, look at this program before we gave it. And she said, the only thing I'd be concerned about are your vinegars. The reason is there is a vinegar. There is a vinegar. I don't know what to do with this, Robin. I'll let you. There's a vinegar that it's either not homogenized or it's not pasteurized. It's a native, what do we call it? It's in the whole food section. It's in a quart jar that's glass. I can't think of the name of it. I thought I'll remember the name of that, but I can't. But it's not the same type of process that the other vinegars go through, and the acidity may be different. So she was worried about that kind of vinegar possibly making mold. If you put things in it, it might create molds. So be very thoughtful and make sure you have the right kind of vinegar. Stick a recipe if you're going to make infusions with vinegars. And making ice cubes is really fun. I'm sure you can imagine how to do that, especially if you have a punch bowl like we used to use. You could put one big bowl and one a little smaller in it. If you have a section of ice around the edges about so big, you put your flowers in after you've got some water in it. Let that freeze, and then you put some more water in it. And you've got your flower encased in ice, and you can put that down in your punch bowl. It's really pretty. You can also do cubes. I couldn't find my ice cubes. I could only find star-shaped ones. I didn't think they would show up very well. And again, we keep seeing herbs on this list, which is great. Snapdragons, a lot of people have good luck with them, and I would love to use some of those in a salad. Best used as a garnish and not eaten. So again, watch for these notes. Be very careful about watching for the notes, and as long as you watch that. And I don't think I want to eat yucca. I mean, you know, but she's got it on here, but I don't think I want that. But again, the whole message is just be very careful. Thank you, Robin. So you can use this in cooked dishes as well, but primarily we're talking salads, ice cubes. Thank you, Robin. And you can put, there's recipes for chicken with something, I don't even remember what they used, but you can use it on cooked foods. In your salads, here are the ones you would choose. Your calendulas, we mentioned those, the orangey yellow ones that were in here, a little bit peppery. The anchusa, now that's the purple one, real dark purple. That would be so pretty on that orange salad, along maybe with some borage. Sage and chive flowers could go together, but you got to remove those green plants again, green parts. Your nasturtiums, if you have really big old leathery leaves, you're going to want to cut the stems out, but these are nice young little leaves here, and you wouldn't do anything to those except clean them up really nicely. And they also have a peppery taste. And your rocket flowers, you know that rocket or arugula tastes peppery. Some people don't like it because of that, but they would be good in a mixed salad as well. Here are your syrups and infusions, and syrups are not uncommon. In Britain, a lot, I noticed they use quite a bit of rose syrups, rose water for certain things, certain kind of drinks. And again, that's easy. You just put what you want to use into a pan with some water. You may or may not put sugar in it, and then you strain out your stuff and you just use the water for flavoring. Your infusions, you see you're mainly using your herbs for that, and your tisanes, which is a very British thing. I lived there a while, but your bergamot comes in here, and your chamomile and lemon verbena if you're growing that. Hibiscus and peppermint you can make into teas. Again, I mean, I've got so many tea bags from all these things the Grands bring in. I would not need to make my own tisanes, I don't think. These, again, you can get recipes for anywhere online if you want to do it. You can find what you need. Now, here's your decorative ice. I won't go through that again. I've sort of already said that. Decorating baked goods. One of the things that I keep remembering from a long time ago is the fact that someone used geranium leaves, sweet geranium leaves, to line a loaf pan because they wanted the flavor of that geranium in the loaf cake. So that's one of the things that's recommended here with your scented geraniums, not sweet geraniums, scented geraniums. And also you can make candied flowers if you're having a big fancy party. You know, sometimes you can put beaten egg whites on grapes, and then you put superfine sugar on it. It makes them look like they're a sculpture or something. But you can do the same thing here. Gum arabic, you don't need to buy a pack of gum arabic to do this. Just use your egg whites to be able to do it. Paint the petals with your egg white. And then if you don't have superfine sugar, don't go buying that. You can put it in the blender, but don't take the top off the blender because it makes a cloud. You don't want to breathe that. So you want to let it settle. Then you use the really fine and just sprinkle it over and set them out to dry. And you can put those almost anything. And this is what roses look like. This is some old fashioned stuff. It reminds me of British food. British food always looked good to me. The desserts did. They never tasted as good as they looked. I was always disappointed because gelato and so forth, everything was beautiful. And some other uses, you can make your own butters. We mentioned that in terms of Boursin. You can make garnishes, jellies. You can put lavender in sugar and some other flowers and sugars and have that for flavoring. And also your cookies like we did today. Y'all are welcome to have some more of these cookies if you like them. So one other thing you can do, and I've never done this, to me it's very Southern. It may be international, it may be national. Y'all have to tell me that if you're from out of this state. But to me, squash balloons, I'm not bad off enough that I got to eat squash flowers yet. But battered. Anybody experienced with this? You want to tell us about it?
I haven't made them, I've eaten them.
You've eaten them. Do you enjoy them?
Yeah.
Was it like a cornmeal mixture, and you swish them through it and then put them into fry?
I ate them. I didn't make.
You ate them? Okay. Well, I think mainly you'll see a recipe online for this. My concern would be you want to get this calyx stuff out of the way, but you've got to keep it to keep the leaves together. So I would also tell my people if I were serving this, not to eat that part, but to just eat down to it like you do okra sometimes. If you have fried okra, you might leave the butts of that so it won't ooze, and just have them eat down to that. So that's one of the precautions I would take. But a lot of people like this. They'll make up a batter and they'll swish this through the batter a couple of times. They'll put it on some dry, and then they'll put it in a quick frying situation. So again, I haven't done it. I can't tell you to do it or not do it. Now let's go back through our summary. Cautions. To prevent allergies, introduce one flower at a time in your diet. Do not consume flowers if you have known allergies of any kind, especially asthma and hay fever, respiratory problems. And remember, we have so many new drugs these days. We have new biologicals and things we don't yet know the long-term side effects of. Again, if someone were taking that, I would tell them I probably would not eat flowers. Don't consume the pollen in any circumstances. Use those that are specially grown for eating, and avoid anything that's coming into the country or that you bought at a florist or grocery store, nurseries, or anywhere else that you do not know everything about how it grew. And finally, your take-home lesson. Always be sure what flower you're using. You know, those hyacinths to me are the epitome of that. And those jasmine, be very careful. Make sure they're grown in safe conditions, prepared carefully, added to the diet in small portions, and if you don't know, don't eat it. But otherwise, I hope you'll enjoy experimenting with some of the things we've worked with today. Thank y'all so much for your attention. You're welcome to, you want to do the